everybody, it's your girl Tamkin Spice and I'm back with another video on tools and tech for body and beauty. And I am doing another video regarding y'all's favorite supplement, Plenity. And I know I've been shooting a lot of videos on this topic and I'm really responding to how much love you guys have shown me and how much curiosity you guys have on this supplement. I do have a few other videos that I have posted already regarding this topic. I have a 5-month review, I have an 8-month review, and I also have a couple of experiments that I did using Plenity. So please check those out if you have some time. But I think it's important for us to remember that as a YouTuber, as a vlogger, there's only so much I can do. I'm not a professional, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm none of these professional things. All I am is actually a user. I can only provide my own experience in my review, which is why today we're gonna do something very special. Today we're gonna have a very special guest. I'm gonna bring in one of my friends. Her name is Jean, and we kind of go back, and it's very important that I mention Plenity I did use as kind of one of my processes to evolve out of disordered eating and be able to embrace intuitive eating more effectively. And Jean and I have actually met in the past where I did seek some help for disordered eating. So I just recommend, if you are someone with disordered eating habits or you have an eating disorder or diagnosed EDNOS, make sure you're taking care of you, and the advice you're taking is from your doctors and medical professionals in your life. And with that, I really want to introduce to you my friend Jean. Jean, welcome to my channel. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Jean Liu and I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist. I have my master's in nutrition and health promotion, and I currently work at a private practice in Boston, Massachusetts. We specialize in the treatment of eating disorders, disordered eating, and intuitive eating.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that introduction, Jean. It's so good to see you again. I'm so happy that you're here to be able to join us and talk about some of these topics, specifically Plenity, because Plenity has been a really hot topic on YouTube and it's been all over Instagram being advertised to folks. That's how I found out about Plenity, is because it was kind of targeted advertised to me on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram. And I wanted to ask you, Jean, have you heard about this prescription weight loss tool called Plenity?
No, I have never heard of the supplement Plenity until Tamkin reached out to me a week ago.
I know, right? I just be reaching out to everybody, asking them all kind of crazy questions. But let's get to the meat and potatoes. Because Plenity is essentially fiber, I wanted to ask you as a dietitian, can you talk a little bit about the importance of fiber in one's diet, and specifically insoluble fiber, because that's what Plenity is. It's just cellulose and citric acid. It's insoluble fiber. Can you please talk about that for a second?
Yeah, so fiber is an important topic when it comes to hunger, fullness, and for nutrition. Generally speaking, both insoluble and soluble fiber are essential for hunger and satiety. And with that said, so is having adequate carbohydrate, protein, fats. Those are also very important in fullness, satiety.
Thank you for that response, Jean. I think you bring a valid point. It's not just fiber that makes you full. It's food that makes you full. It's protein, carbohydrate, fat, everything together, nutrition that makes you full. I think all of that has a role to play in hunger and fullness. And that brings me to my next question. Do you think that the fullness that Plenity simulates in your body with its 2 ingredients, cellulose and citric acid, do you think that that is something that's duplicable with just taking in fiber in general? Or do you think it's specific to Plenity?
So I don't feel like I know enough about the mechanism of how the cellulose and the citric acid, or those 2 ingredients I believe it is, how that interacts to cause more fullness. I do believe that it can make someone feel more physical fullness in their stomach. And I'm very curious to see how people react similarly with having more fruits and vegetables in their intake, knowing that it is about this plant material, this fibrous material, right? So I'm also just side note, very curious of how this does impact the gastrointestinal system. I'm not a gut health expert. I don't specialize in gut diseases necessarily, but I am so curious to hear about how this does end up affecting bowel movements, if this does induce a lot more bloating and constipation or discomfort, or even like what this might mean for those with intolerances. So just a few questions and thoughts that I have. And, so I guess my answer is, I'm not sure if the Plenity ingredients can be replicated, but we've lived this long without having this supplement, and people have been able to tune into their hunger and fullness okay. So I think that perhaps normal fiber in foods that we can find are adequate, and I'm not sure if Plenity is something completely different.
Thanks for that response, Jean. And I understand that, as a professional, if you don't know, if you're not a GI doctor, I get it. Thanks for being honest and bringing what you can to the table for this conversation, which is your expertise in hunger and fullness and intuitive eating. Let's move on. Can we talk a little bit about the side effects? I know there's positive and negative side effects of taking in more fiber. Plenity is more insoluble fiber in your diet. Can you talk a little bit about what that can mean? Because I've had some side effects and I've talked about them a little bit on this channel, but can you, from a dietitian's standpoint, talk a little bit about both positive and negative side effects of consuming more insoluble fiber like Plenity?
So when it comes to having more fiber, there's two parts to it, because it really matters how much you're already having. So if you're not getting enough and you have more fiber, soluble or insoluble, that could be greatly beneficial. You can have more regular bowel movements. It can ease constipation and or diarrhea. Having adequate fiber is associated to lowering cholesterol and having improved blood labs. And with that said, you can have too much fiber too. So having too much fiber is associated to bloating. It's associated to constipation and or diarrhea, lots of discomfort. It's also associated to not absorbing nutrients as well. So that's another side effect of fiber that no one really talks about, is just because you're eating something doesn't mean that it's being absorbed into the body. And we know that having too much fiber can get in the way of optimal nutrient absorption too.
Wow, Jean, I think that's such an amazing point that honestly I didn't know. I didn't know that the over intake of fiber can actually get in the way of nutrient absorption of the food that I'm already eating. That is something that I think as an audience, you guys should kind of think about and maybe take to heart a little bit, because all we think is, hey, want to lose weight, want to take fiber, let's get this Plenity in there. But at the end of the day, if you're going to be nutrient deficient because you're over consuming fiber, and I know a lot of you in the private Facebook groups that I'm in do talk about, oh, can I take Plenity with more fiber? Can I take it with this? Can I take, there is such thing as too much of something. So Jean, thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. I really appreciate that perspective. Now, let's get to what the folks want to hear. Do you think it's important as a dietitian for folks who are trying to manage their weight to take in more fiber?
So my answer to this next question has everything to do with what I just named. So is it important for people who are trying to manage their weight to consume more fiber? Depends on if they're having enough fiber, because if they're having enough, then I don't necessarily think that having more would solve the problem. And I think just like what I was talking about with the physical fullness aspect of Plenity, is that it could help make someone feel physically full, but does that lead to them feeling more satiety? Does that lead to them actually having a better relationship to food in their body, and then them feeling more attuned to their actual hunger and fullness? I don't know. But if someone is not having an adequate amount of fiber, sure, I think I'd encourage that for any individual who's not having enough fiber, regardless of their body weight, shape, and size.
Now, Jean, I would love to kind of open the door as an opportunity for you to kind of bring your message to folks who are considering a Plenity prescription. So as a registered dietitian with a master's degree in nutrition and dietetics, what do you have to say to people who are considering getting Plenity as a prescription? And they've probably, watched a few videos on YouTube already, and it's sometimes hard to get access to professionals. Sometimes, like back before I had a fancy PPO insurance, I couldn't get a hold of a dietitian if I wanted to. I didn't even know what a dietitian was. But Now I would like to open the door for you to send your message to, our followers here. What do you want to say to folks who are considering this $100 bottle of Plenity? Actually, no, this is not a $100 bottle, but it is $100 a month, in case you guys are wondering, for Plenity. What do you have to say to the folks watching today, Jean?
So as someone who is an anti-diet or non-diet, health at every size promoting dietitian, I think that an important message to share is that weight is not the only indicator to health, and to remember that BMI is something that is a very flawed medical tool to tell and indicate if someone is healthy or not. That we need to look at the bigger picture of what's going on, and I think Tamkin has mentioned this in her other Plenity videos too, is that knowing that you can be at a different weight and still be doing a lot of health promoting behaviors like making sure that she's going to the gym and having enough fruits and vegetables in her day. There are a lot of other indicators to health beyond just weight. So I think when considering something like this where it's for weight loss, to really consider what is the actual goal that you want. Do you want to sleep more, or do you want to get in some more fiber to have better bowel movements? Because you can do that with fruits and vegetables, right? It's not just exclusive to this supplement that may be inaccessible for people who don't have the finances for it. So I think just taking that into consideration, that health is very holistic. It's not just about what you eat. It's also about how you move. It's also about your relationships with people. It's about your financial health and your spiritual health. It's about your quality of life. So take that into consideration. Absolutely talk to many professionals about this. A quick reminder that most medical doctors are not trained in nutrition. So speaking to a dietitian, ideally a dietitian who's licensed, so not just a nutritionist, would be a great idea. So I hope that my advice helped.
Absolutely, it did, Jean. And I just want to thank you for coming on my channel. It's been such a pleasure to have you. And folks, please, I'm going to leave Jean's information below, linked in my description box, if you want to reach out and talk to her as a dietitian. She responds to people who reach out to her on Instagram. She's a really good friend of mine. I just love her. So thank you so much, Jean, for coming on this channel and talking to us. And hopefully we'll see you soon.
Thanks so much, Tamkin, for having me come on and doing this interview with me. I really appreciate you wanting to get my insight on this. Hopefully I brought some more clarity, not confusion, but I also hope that people got to think a little bit more about what health means to them. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, guys, so what did you guys think? Leave me a comment below about what you thought of this interview. I think it's important because, when you think about doctors and medicine and how the medical field is so vast, there's so much going on. If I can compare it to my career in engineering, you can be a rocket scientist, and guess what? If you move over to engineering space vehicle, it's a whole nother world. If you go to ground systems, whole nother world, right? You're an engineer, you've got a master's and a doctorate and whatnot, but at the end of the day, when you're talking to a professional, you have to realize what type of professional you're talking to. A lot of times on Ro.co, where you get Plenity, it does have the doctor's name and profile, but it doesn't have too much information. Does this doctor specifically specialize in guts or GI, gastrointestinal specialist? Is this person, have a background in nutrition and dietetics? So having gone through the process of pursuing a recovery from disordered eating, I was able to meet Jean. And back when we met, she was a dietetic nurse and she was pursuing her master's degree at the time. So we had to kind of not hang out for 2 years, so it was legal for us to be friends afterwards. But we made this amazing friendship, and she has been one of the most strong people in striving for, intuitive eating, anti-diet movement, loving yourself, health at every weight, as well as understanding that health is not just weight, health is not just looks, health is so many different things. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this interview. I sure did. And remember, this is one of 4 interviews. Please look out for 3 more videos, kind of just like this, same 7 questions I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna have a guest doctor, medical doctor on. I'm gonna have a guest pharmacist on. I'm also going to have a guest personal trainer and bodybuilder on as well to talk all about Plenity, the role of insoluble fiber in your diet and what they think about it and what they think about spending $100 a month to have more fiber in your diet. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you achieve all your goals and hopes and dreams that you have manifested for yourself in this world, and have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.